and I'm very happy to be able to share a little bit of my experience around digital tools, especially that with the coronavirus crisis, we had to, or most businesses had to either go to remote work, um, or for technology companies like ourselves, we already had partially that in place, and we had to go fully remote. So there's several tools that help us kind of navigate this environment, in especially that usually if we have crunch time in projects, we would have people come to the office. It's easier to collaborate together in a physical manner, obviously, but we had to switch that to online environment as well. So it took a little bit of getting used to, but there are a few tools that obviously help. I'm try to share maybe screen so that um, I just try to put like a short presentation in place. All right. Let me try to do this. Sure. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I do. And I think everyone can see it. If anyone doesn't see the screen, please let us know.
Is it in full screen now?
What do you say, Khalid?
Is it in full screen?
Yes, it is in full screen, indeed.
Cool, cool. So these aren't by any means exhaustive. These are just a few examples of the tools you might need. And obviously, once I finish the presentation, I'll try to be as short as possible so that we keep the most time for your questions, so that we would be interacting more on the difficulties that you're finding yourself in collaborating with your teams. All right. So, I have kind of compilated a few examples based on what type of activities you would do. So, for example, video and audio meetings, and you have a few here: Zoom, BlueJeans, Cisco WebEx, and so on. A few are professional software. Some have freemium, but some are fully paid for. But most of them have a freemium version, either that's limited on time or limited on the number of participants. Obviously, you have your email and official messaging. These are more for email format. Obviously, you have other communication tools or writing communication tools that are more direct, just and so on. Storage and share and file sharing. We've been working more with Drive and Google Drive and OneDrive because of the suites that come with them. Obviously, the Google Suite and the Office 365, which are shared here as well. You have Prezi, which is a nice tool to be able to create dynamic presentations, but you also have Slide and Gitbook for code sharing and so on. For project management, productivity, you have a few here that are quite different. Trello is a task manager. Zoho Projects has some Gantt charts as well. You obviously have others that are more specified into like technology projects. So Redmine, for example, is mostly specific to technology projects. So it has a little bit more a little bit more like specialized features, and so on. Notes and do lists. The Microsoft Keep and Microsoft To Do. What's good is that you can keep them in different devices, and they self-update. Scheduling events and appointments. Again, these are very much on the example side, and we can go through if you have any questions specific to any of the tools, or you're looking for alternatives to any of the tools, we'll get that into the questions. Then you have this for user type projects. So you have diagrams and user stories. These are, we use them a lot in our work as we create digital solutions. So what we use mostly is Draw.io and Cardboard on our end, but you have two other examples here. On the design and prototyping side, my favorite is InVision, as currently, even with the free version, you get a bunch of ready-to-use templates for mobile apps and web apps. And then you have an online version that gives you the possibility to create click-through prototypes. So you can even, make a design, have a click-through prototype, and then send it to clients for validation without having to do any front-end code. Then you have an on-desktop app that gives you the possibility to design from scratch with motion or movements and a bunch of very design features. Obviously, you have others that are more, um, they're experimental right now. It's not really great, but you can use them if you're not specialized in coding. So you have some design tools that give you the possibility to transform into front end code for mobile apps and web apps, usually based on HTML and CSS with a little bit of JavaScript, JSON. And you can have on the mobile end side, you can have some full stack front end with maybe some Firebird on the database, like basic database usage. So these are kind of experimental. I can share with you a few that we've worked on. Sometimes we collaborated even with the companies that created them to make them better. But I wouldn't advise them unless you really just need to make out a prototype for like a hackathon type thing, or a client that just needs something that works so that they can experience it themselves. Obviously, these interactive boards, I'll show you later on. We do on them our mind mapping and design thinking work. So, it's basically like putting up sticky notes on a whiteboard, and then the whole team can work on it together. We either work on user stories, we work on problem solving kind of processes and so on them with the team. And that's it. I tried to go as quick as possible so that I'd give you as much time as I can for questions. And I didn't really introduce myself since Sanat did a great work, and I have too many hats to kind of go into explaining them. I'd better use our time to give you as much as I can.
Thank you so much, Khalid. I'm sure a lot of our participants have questions. Please feel free to ask your questions to Khalid if you have kind of concerns or practical questions. Please feel free to share your questions with him.
Also, they don't have to be in relation to these specific types of tools. Any problems that you're having within your workplace or in your collaboration with your environment, please let me know. If there is any other types of usage that I'm missing, please ask me about them and I'll be happy to help.
Thank you, Khalid. That's your golden opportunity, everyone. So please feel free to ask your questions.
Hello. I have a kind of general question because it's not about a particular program, but I've just started my apprenticeship contract within a company, an engineering company, and we have several tools. But for me, for example, Asana, and we
Yes.
have another huge. I don't know how to name it. It's kind of Dropbox, but we call it SharePoint to all the files our company requires. And for me, sometimes when I am asked to work on SharePoint to do some basic stuff, it's okay. But actually, if it comes to something more difficult about changing the whole structure of it, and I've never worked with this program, I found myself helpless, and I realized that actually since my arriving I wasn't being taught about this program, but I'm supposed to be very comfortable with it. However, for me it's not how can I be as fluent as with Word, for example?
Sure. Thank you for your question, Alina. So SharePoint is actually one of the most complex types of software and collaboration you can deal with. We at the company do actually for our clients SharePoint trainings because they take a while to master, and we have SharePoint specialists that only do that in training and in consulting. So I think the company that you work at has too high of an expectation out of your usage of SharePoint if you have never been trained on. I can obviously I'll give you guys my email address and so that you can reach out so that I can answer you as I won't be able to send you the specific notes right now as it will take a minute for me to find them. But please feel free to reach out with that question as a headline so
I
that I
think,
can send
Khalid,
you.
if you allow us, we can also maybe share your presentation with the whole participants.
Yes, yes, I'd be
So
happy
that
to.
they can reach out to you directly. You can also include your email address there, and everyone would receive your presentation and get in touch with you.
How would you like me to do that, Sana? Should
If
I send it as
you
a
can send
file
it
here?
to me by email, and then
Okay.
Tamara, my colleague, is going to send it to all participants.
All right.
And in the chat, you can share your email in the chat
Sure.
here as well.
Sounds good. What I was going to say is basically you have to go through a training of SharePoint. I think I have some resources that can help you, video resources mostly. But yes, it's quite a complex software to use. The ones I actually went for in my presentation are the easier ones just for kind of maximum transportability for the companies, but it is quite complex for the SharePoint side. So I'll be happy to share with you some trainings on that end. Any other questions?
Yeah, just like when a new employee comes to your company, you give him like whole training about all the programs you use, because for me it was not the case. So I try to uh, find the way out every time I have these unusual requests. But normally it is supposed to be done by the company once you arrive there, or it's just everybody settles for himself when it comes.
Again, it depends on the company. You know, for on our side, we've been operating for a few years now, and you know, we have kind of some quality standards in place. So we have kind of a package for all of our trainees when they come in, and our employees that includes a firm laptop, and on it there's a bunch of software, a bunch of licenses, and a bunch of trainings. So once you get in, you kind of work and study partially. So we start you off with the most easy to handle, mainly. Obviously, aside from your technical expertise, which would be, for example, for us, programming or design or so on. So we would try to get you off with project management software so that you get on board with the way projects are handled, and then you would move up the ladder in the trainings. But at the same time, you're practicing the first easier software that you got the trainings on. So that's our process, but it's not a standardized thing. All companies do it, and depending on the company's size and the company's culture, you know, you might find yourself in a position where you have to fend for yourself, basically.
Any more questions for those who just joined us? We basically, Khalid is sharing with us his knowledge and his expertise about the different digital tools to use for your work, for your project, for your business. So please feel free to ask him any question. Marina, please go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marina. I'm actually working on a waste recycling project in Congo. And I wanted to make use of technology to actually be able to start recycling and collecting plastics from households. And then I was thinking, how do you guys proceed when it comes to create an app?
Sure. So let me just get this straight. So you want to collect plastic, you know, what do you call them? It's not rubbish. Plastic to recycle, and
Yes.
you need people to be able to connect to the app, tell you where they're located, maybe the types of plastics or the size that you would need, um, and the state they're in. Usually that's the case because you need to know whether it's water bottles that haven't been thrown in a mixed trash, or the so basically they don't need extensive cleaning, or they do. And you would need also to kind of, either they're donating them or you're paying them for the recycled plastic, in which case you need to be able to kind of make a, well, for a bottle you get 2 cents, for example, and then you would be able to have kind of an estimation of what the plastic is worth. So all of these things are uh, quite basic, actually. It's a little bit more developed than a form, as you need to be able to, create a map setting. But other than that, you might be able to get away with a responsive web app. So they're much easier to maintain and to set up, and then you can work with them on a website on your computer or the client's computer in that case, and on their phone. They're also much easier um, well to create publicity for. You can up your SEO, which is not possible with apps. You need to do a whole other process for your marketing, which if you use the responsive web app, you won't need to. So that's kind of for the how to make the, the least amount of effort for the best type of app that would work for your specific example. I hope I answered the question, but if there is any other part that you want specifically, please.
Yes, because we actually want to create like a rewarding system. That means every people actually bring, I don't know, let's say, for example, 1 kilogram of waste, they get something like 10 points, which actually equals to, I don't know, $1 or something like that, you know. But then as we actually also want to impact more people from low-income communities. Those people usually they also don't have like smartphones. How to be able to actually get them through this system? Because for us, we really also want to get data, which are important for us to be able to manage waste properly. So we need to know how much waste is produced to be able to manage. So how can we be also able to collect data from people who do not have smartphones?
I think those are uh, I would say, don't go extensively into detailed problem solving, or what we would use as a technical term. You need to be agile. So first things first, you need to create your web app that does this basic functionality of a person says, here's where I am, here's how much waste I have on hand, and you can actually even add the point system. It's not very complicated. Um, as you create an identification, you create a basic dashboard with how much or how many waste trips did this person get, and then how many points they have. I think that's your first information. And then once you get to a critical mass of people use smartphones that do use your platform, then you have, in consequence, data about how much weight they give you per week or per month. And that will give you a first basis of data to be able to, and also profitability to be able to do more analog things. And by analog, I mean, you would, if people don't have smartphones or internet, the only thing you can do is an SSID system, which is quite expensive for a new venture, as you need to buy the SSID numbers. Or you would need to have some operator go into these kind of communities with a tablet and then have people fill them out as they collect, like do a 1 day collect in a specific neighborhood. So that's an operation that's more analog, that's more physical, and that would need more cost of operation. So I would start with the people that have smartphones through that basic functionality application, and then would go into more extensive physical aspects.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Don't feel shy. If you have any question, feel free to ask Khalid. He's very cooperative and he's explaining in details. Thank you so much, Khalid.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. If you have any more questions, please feel free to share. You can ask the question in the chat button as well.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, is it possible to get in touch with you after the session?
Yeah, Khalid,
Yep,
if you can
sure.
share your email in the chat button. Although we're going to send your emails anyways, but maybe it's easier for them to get in touch with you in person afterwards.
Sure. I will find my way to. There you go.
Any more questions? Khalid, maybe if you can, during these difficult times now, a lot of entrepreneurs are suffering, especially those who are doing their initiatives, on the ground, and who maybe, let's say, they have kind of more of traditional approach on how to run their project, their initiatives. So what would be your advice? What tips would you share with them to cope with the crisis?
So I was actually going to kind of, obviously, I don't want to push anyone out of their comfort zone. I'm going to ask the people that are with us either to write it in the chat or to tell us what they're doing. Are they employed or are they entrepreneurs and so on, so that I would get a kind of general sense of what type of advice to give based on the types of people that are participating with us. But at any rate, I would be happy to share a few for entrepreneurs and for people that are working within startups or medium-sized enterprises. So obviously, it depends on how much are you further along are you in the digitalization process of the company. But if I were to say something as, don't stop, this is for the entrepreneurs again, don't stop your prospection processes just because you're confined. Think about ways to be able to create and give value to either your existing customer base or a new affiliated customer base or prospect base from your existing elements. So for example, obviously we do consulting and training. A bunch of our consulting work we managed to transform online, but people that mainly our large clients that are used to us working with them in a physical space and interacting with them showed some, they wanted basically to push our training schedule to after we get out of confinement and so on. And it took a lot of convincing for them to try out a digital training experience. Obviously, it's not just us talking to them in a Zoom call, but we have also activities that we get them to do on their laptops or physically in their houses, especially for trainings that are more about whether public speaking or project presentation and so on. So we have to be able to give our clients the best experience we can with the tools we have. The tools I proposed are merely a few of the ones that you can work with your clients through. But what I'm saying is, don't think that because of the crisis or because of coronavirus, people aren't doing business, because that's not the case. And if you sit on your hands and wait for things to calm down, you're going to be there for a long time. And obviously, if you don't do prospection work beforehand, once the confinement is over, you won't have a client pipeline. And that's unfortunately what we see in a lot of the cases of the entrepreneurs that I discuss with or I mentor. We have to push them to be able to go out there through digital means to create a pipeline, either for after confinement or for during confinement. Don't shy away from like giving some freebies, like types of short trainings and so on, to your clients, or like an explanation sessions. Help them try your product, because obviously they're going to be tighter on the budget, the spending budget. So you need to show them that your product or service are worth it. So, well, while you can't go meet them in person, try to set these elements of freebies in place so that you build up your pipeline during the crisis.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Khalid, for this quite interesting tips. And thank you everyone for attending. We're going to share with you the presentation of Khalid, also his email address. So feel free to reach out to him afterward. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you again, Khalid, and have a lovely day, everyone.
It's a pleasure, Sana. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Khalid.
Pleasure, Tamar.